What's up? How you doing? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good myself. Today, I'm gonna cut straight to the chase. Today we are gonna be reviewing every single iteration of Link from the game series The Legend of Zelda. No script, straight off the dome. All I have is a notebook here which tells me the name of the legend and what games they come from. Starting off, the chosen hero from Skyward Sword. Personally, one of my favorite iterations of Link. He has a very unique arsenal. He uses items that we've never seen before, like the whip, the gust bellows. He has an interesting dungeon selection. The sand ship obviously is very good. His feats, I mean, obviously in terms of the timeline, he is one of the most important heroes. He has the act of defeating Demise, which in turn starts the chain. So that is obviously very important. Without him, the timeline. But we also only see him once, which some of the other Links we see in multiple games, which can be seen as a weakness. And we do see Link getting bailed out a lot by the goddesses, especially with Fi. But overall, I would say this Link is still very strong. I mean, he single-handedly fought Demise. Some of these Links cannot talk about that. He's definitely one of the older Links. We see him at Knight Academy, so he has decent swordsmanship. Magic wielding, he doesn't do a whole lot of magic wielding. He's mostly just using his sword and his items. But yeah, so chosen hero, solid. He's average. I'd say he's above average. Moving on, the hero of the Minish from the Minish cap. All right, so this Link, the first 2D Link, by the way, has the task. His task is not really the greatest. He has to defeat Vaati, and Vaati at this point is not very strong. But we see a unique mechanic that we don't see with other Links. We see the ability to shrink, though I'm not sure how that really makes him much stronger. He does have a decent arsenal. He has the standard bow. I think he also has the gust bellows, a decent magic wielding ability, but overall, we don't see him. We only see him in the Minish cap. We don't see him do any crazy feats. The bosses he has to fight, not that impressive. Vaati as a final boss, not that impressive. So, while I do like the Minish cap, the hero of the Minish is slightly underwhelming. If we want to talk really underwhelming, look no further than the hero of the Four Sword, the predecessor of the hero of the Minish. While it is no fault of his own, as the games he are in is extremely lacking of any depth, they're supposed to be just casual multiplayer games. There are no impressive feats, besides being able to clone himself, there are no impressive feats, abilities, magical powers, no specific physical characteristics. They defeat, I guess, a stronger version of Vaati, but the dungeon selection is weak. Hero of the Four Sword might be one of the weakest. That brings us to one of the strongest, if not the strongest, the hero of Time, as seen in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, some of the most popular games, not even in the Legend of Zelda series, but of all time. Now, yes, this is both counting young Link and adult Link, so huge arsenal of weapons. Young Link gets the boomerang, the slingshot. Older Link gets the bow. He gets both get the long shot. The silver gauntlets, decent, not great, but decent magical abilities using the goddess crystals. But yeah, feats, pretty impressive. Saving Termina from Majora for Majora's Mask, and defeating not only Ganondorf but Ganon. Definitely impressive. The dungeon selection, very impressive. Bosses, pretty impressive. Hero of Time, definitely. And also about the Hero of Time is later in Twilight Princess, he goes on to become the Hero of Shade and teaches Oh, by the way, very impressive swordsmanship. Yeah, so Hero of Time, very, very strong. Which now leads us to the Hero of the Great Sea as seen in Wind Waker and I believe Phantom Hourglass. Now, the Wind Waker, now this is one of the most interesting heroes because up to this point, each of the heroes has been particularly chosen by the goddess, but as we see with the Hero of the Sea, he is not necessarily chosen by the goddess. He has to go out and kind of prove, as we see in the Tower of the Goddess, because he's just out there to save his sister. He's not trying to defeat Ganon or anything. I mean, we later, like, as he meets with the King of Red Lions and as he meets with Tetra, who's later on reveals herself to be Zelda, then he kind of sees it. But in terms of feats, yeah, he climbs the Tower of Goddess. His dungeons are impressive. His bosses are impressive. So feats, definitely strong. I mean, Ganondorf was very strong in the Wind Waker. We see a very eerily human Ganondorf. So this Link is just a child, by the way, so it does knock off a little bit of physical aspects of that, but he sails the seas, he does a lot of treasure hunting. So yeah, in terms of feats, I think the Wind Waker is definitely up there. In terms of arsenal, not the strongest, but he does have the light arrows, and the light arrows in Wind Waker are very strong, so I guess I might want to take that back. In terms of magic capabilities, I think that's where it falters a little bit, but yeah, just in terms of raw feats, yeah, this is one of the strongest Links, I will have to say. Alright, so yes, then that brings us, didn't talk about Phantom Hourglass. Phantom Hourglass, yeah, so that's kind of just like a snippet. We do see, that's kind of just adding on more to his feats, so yeah, definitely very strong in the feat category, so yes, that leads us to the Hero of Trains. Now we do see, yes, this is from Spirit Tracks, of course. We don't see a whole lot from him. The premise of this game is a little shallow, not too bad, but I mean, they kind of were focused on like trains and stuff. So the arsenal, not great. Magical abilities, decent. He kind of gets carried by trains. And Zelda, so this Link kind of only works with Zelda, so if we're just examining this Link, he's gonna appear to be weaker. He wields the Locomo Sword, which is probably one of the weakest swords, even weaker than the Force Sword. Even, honestly, you could probably say it's weaker than the Goddess Sword before it becomes the Master Sword, so not very strong. I mean, obviously, they end up defeating Malladus, but Malladus is probably weaker than Vadi, so again, this hero does not have a whole lot going for it. Again, it's a child. It is decently strong because it does work as a carpenter, but other than that, it just doesn't have a whole lot going for it. So then that leads us to the Hero of Twilight. Hero of Twilight, we only see it once in Twilight Princess, but it is I think it's the oldest Link. It's a very strong Link. Has a very solid arsenal, though a lot of the weapons he does have only gets used in the dungeons, which is just a flaw of the game design, but his dungeons are great. His bosses are great. His feats are great. I mean, he kills Ganondorf. We do not see a lot of Links kill Ganondorf, just like seal him away with this man. This man's standing on business. Saves the Twilight Realm. You know, we see him as a wolf. He's a little edgy, but very strong, decent magic wielding. Not great, but decent. Like I said, decent, good items, very good swordsmanship. Feats are definitely above average, even though we only see him once. So yeah, definitely a very solid hero of Twilight. A lot of people's favorites. You know, he's a little edgy. Just a fair warning, this is the GOAT, can't even argue. We have the Hero of Legend. I mean, let me just list off the accomplishments. He's in the Oracle games, Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages. By the way, I'm playing through Oracle of Seasons right now. Great game. Honestly, it's quite underrated. A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds. Oh gosh, that's just, what are you supposed to do? Those are phenomenal games. And then they gave him Link's Awakening. I feel like they didn't have to give him Link's Awakening, but he just goes out and did Link's Awakening. So feats alone, he's already the greatest Link. But if we really want to get into items too, I mean, just look at A Link to the Past alone. Best magic wielder of all time. goated arsenal. Oracle's too with goated arsenal. Feats, I mean, he defeats a Ganondorf with the entire Triforce. He's sealed away in the Dark Realm, but he defeats Ganondorf with the entire Triforce. In A Link Between Worlds, he defeats Ganon, a mix of Yuga and Ganon. That's very, very strong. In Link's Awakening, he awakens the Windfish, which I guess that's not a huge feat, but I mean, still just the fact that he has that under his belt. By the way, good arsenal in that game too. So just the fact that he has that under his belt is for sure, that definitely helps him. In the Oracle games, yeah, I mean, just what can't this guy do? I mean, let's be for real. I think A Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds by themselves make him the strongest, but you throw in the Oracle games and you throw in Link's Awakening too, I mean, no one else even stands a chance. So yes, Hero of Legend, by far, strongest Link, not even close. Some could argue Hero of Time, but personally, I think that's just nostalgia-based. While I do think he's strong, he has a great arsenal, does not even come close to Hero of Legend. Hero of Hyrule. Now, Hero of Hyrule, we don't, know a whole lot about. We see he's only in the first two games, Legend of Zelda, and whatever the second game is called, I fucking forget. But yeah, feats, pretty impressive. I mean, Link's Zelda 2 is kind of a confusing story. We see a lot of characters, we never see it, again, and that, honestly, it's just kind of confusing. But, in OG Zelda, in Zelda 1, he definitely, the world is pretty desolate, and so, that by itself is impressive, that, he doesn't really have any companions, he's kind of just by himself. So the feats for this Zelda are definitely impressive, but just because of how limited the games are, Arsenal's not very impressive. He pretty much just has all the basic stuff every other Link has, and then, yeah, so just Arsenal definitely drags him down. But feats, overall, average. I'd say Hero of Hyrule is probably, the baseline Link, He has a couple adventures, so he's got a couple of wear and tear under his belt, but, yeah. So that leaves us, lastly, with the Hero of the Wild. Now, the Hero of the Wild is by far the most interesting case because feats, very impressive. Stopping the Calamity, he was strong already in just Breath of the Wild, but you give him Tears of the Kingdom too, and that's very impressive. I think there's honestly a debate that he has the strongest, not arsenal, but best magical abilities. With the Sheikah Slate in Breath of the Wild and his hand, Master Hand or whatever, in Tears of the Kingdom, if you count those as magical abilities, that's very impressive. Definitely solid. But the arsenal, it just depends. You pick up the items you want in the wild, but feats, definitely impressive. It's with the game being more fleshed out than the other games, the feats are gonna seem more impressive. But I think overall, stopping the Calamity and then defeating Ganondorf, those are obviously pretty impressive. But yeah, I feel like he low-key gets carried by oh, he's prophesized to do it. So but yeah. Alright, that is every single iteration of The Legend of Zelda, or Link from The Legend of Zelda, and their names. Michael, you're a bitch. See you guys.